Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. He did 39 deals in 3 years. Just before, he was in August of 2018. By July of 2021, is that right? 3 years? Yeah, 21. He had done 39 deals. And he's got a G5, which is online. He's sitting there across from his son and his son's fiance. They're going to Dubai or someplace for the weekend. And the old man, I mean, I take my hat off to the old man. He took a lot of shit because he's already had a few bucks. And I told you, his grandchildren told him to fuck off. His kids told him to fuck off. His various and sundry ex-wives told him to fuck off. And he says, I can do this. And if you remember, he was one of the last boxers. When he got into the boxing ring, he got thumped. He got knocked down 7 or 8 times by a kid who I said again, take it easy. He's an old man. Well, I might as well pissing in the wind. The kids beat him like a rented mule, The kid, he was down more than he was up, the old timer. But he did 39, and he did a conglomerate, not a healthcare. And the old man has done deals in the UK. He's from Nottingham, Sheriff Nottingham, like Robin Hood. He's from Nottingham. He's now 70. A young man, he's just 70 now. And he's done deals in the Netherlands, Germany, and the UK. England. But he beat him at that time, the quickest deal. It's like the 4-minute mile. People, as soon as the people realized they could do the deals quicker, they did the deals quicker. And again, I shouldn't take the blame, but I take the blame because of the fucking mentor program. That slowed things down. No good deed goes unpunished. All the greatest intentions by me, but it worked out ass backwards. And to Sally's credit, she said, the mentor program is a bad idea because they're all going to suck on your tit. Truer words were never fucking spoken, But, and he was in the last bit of one of the mentor programs when he joined. Other comments about, yes, sir.
Could you tell us a little bit about going public? What are the advantages, disadvantages?
You have this in your material, but it's not a guilt-edged panacea. First of all, let's say that, through his connections in the part of the world that he's from, he builds up kind of the bottom end of the public market is about $500 million in revenue. That's the anus end of the market, and there's no upper limit. But he takes it public. He gets the right lawyers, the right accountants. He's already running the business as if it were a public company. He's not living out of the company and all the things I tell you. Okay. And let's just say that it's in healthcare, and he gets the right investment bank, etc. The right representation. You need a broker dealer to take you public. And he sets it all up. Well, first of all, they're going to tell him, let's just say, for simple numbers, he says that the market cap is $1 billion. In other words, all the shares, if at the price that you want to take it public, it's $1 billion. Well, they're going to tell him he can't sell a share. And that's the only reason a thief like you wants to go public, is to get money out, correct? Well, no, but that's the only reason you want to go public, is to take money out. Well, they're going to tell you no, because the shareholders will lose confidence if he sells shares. And the investment bank and all the people, the professionals, which is another layer of professionals that you're going to have to add on to go public, are going to ask you, what are your intentions? What's your use of proceeds? Blah, blah, blah. And he says, well, I'd like to take, well, no, you're not going to take anything out. And so now the board is there, and they don't want the board to sell any shares. Well, it's the only fucking reason you got them there is to sell shares. So now you got to go and re-explain it to them, whatever language they speak. Well, what I meant to tell you is that probably you're not going to be able to get any money out now. So I lied to you. Because you won't be able to draw them in on the board if they find out they can't make the stock liquid. So they'll probably sell $1 billion market cap. They'll sell 20% of the company to the open market. 80% of the company, or 800 million of it, will stay in the float, in the public stock. And 20% you'll sell to the morons in the public market. But normally none of your shares. Or if some of your shares get to be sold, it's so de minimis, you might as well go have a happy face at fucking McDonald's. There's no money. And the second, third, fourth, and fifth financing of the company, they allow the founders to take money out. But you will have, in America, it's called stiff stock. And the analogy is like a board up your ass, a 2x4. Stiff stock is worth nothing. And you have to register with the Security Exchange Commission. Every major market in the world has an equivalent of a Security Exchange Commission, SEC. But in the beginning, you won't be able to get liquid for the very reason. The good news is you'll be able to use the shares like paper. You can buy people for paper. Instead of giving cash for these acquisitions, you're going to give them 1 million shares, 100,000 shares, et cetera, et cetera. The best exit, in my judgment, is to a strategic buyer like Roberto sold to, or a private equity. Because you get most of your money right away. You have no shares in the public market that they're refraining you from selling. Sometimes you get a higher price. Most times you get a lower price in a strategic sale or a private equity, but you're going to get your money. The good news is when I was thrown out of Great Western, all my millions of shares became instantaneously liquid because I was no longer on the board. I was no longer a founder. I wasn't tied down by stiff stock. But it's not. Plus, it's normally costs between 10 and 15%. Let's say we're going to raise $500 million. It's going to cost you $50 to $100 million to do it. It's extremely expensive now to go public. Now they have chicken shit little exchanges. The Pakistan exchange, the Shanghai exchange. They have secondary and tertiary markets, and but there's not much liquidity and no real investment bank worth its salt. Goldman Sachs isn't going to take you public in one of the secondary or third tier markets. The main markets to go public on are NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange full listing, like I was public, and a couple others. The Frankfurt Exchange. But they have hundreds of stock exchanges all over the world. But you get what you pay for. Yes, in the back.
Mr. Peña, I noticed that the Viking Beach and also Nagy, I forgot his name.
Jason Nagy.
Jason Nagy. They were saying that they plan to exit by 2025, something like that. Before it's something that is going to happen. That, for example.
No, it's just that. But they also both said that we'll let the market tell us when we exit. And I believe the Viking Beach said, "Well, let Dan tell me when to exit." No, it's just 2025. She will have been at it at 5 years at 2025. She plans on exiting and doing another roll-up. Jason Nagy will have, by that time, will have done his third exit, because he's exited twice now, one IT, one radiology, and the other one he will have exited by then. And the more times you do it, the faster you can do it, because there's a lot of little nuances that you can do that save time. Not the least of which is you'll try to do 100% of your deals at seller finance, because banks slow you down. Banks, I told you this before, commercial banks are not your friend. They're not your friend. So they just said 2025 because they will have been at it 5 years. And the program was built 36 months if you do everything right, 7 years if you do everything wrong. Exit. And now we've got exits in 30 months, 20 months, a year. Because the market's gone our way. Kids, you have no idea what it feels like when the market's not going our way. The market's gone our way for 13 years now. Us, personally. 13 years of up market. The stock market went up 11 years and then fell on its ass. But you have no idea what that is. I've sold into a negative market. We haven't done that in 12 or 14 years for the QLA model. But it adds another layer of difficulty, which I'm not going to explain because we're not experiencing it. You know, I'm not going to wish a bad market, a QLA bad market on us. I mean, it's not here. But I'm bright enough, experienced enough to know, unlike the morons that were writing columns in the Financial Times, that someday the market's not going to be our market the way it is now. Now, every single check mark, every box is ticked positively for us. Not 90% of the ticks, not 98%, 100% of the ticks are in our favor. Now, how long that will last? Well, it's last 13 years, 14 years. How much longer it's going to last, I have no idea. But I'll know it when I sees it. And then I'll put an announcement out, just like I did a special announcement a few days ago. It's over, kids. Run for the hills. Jump in your lifeboats. Your 401k plans are dead. Home health is through. Assisted living is through. But that's not anytime soon. But when it happens, I'll say it. And I'll cause, some consternation. But it'll be the truth. But, I mean, right now, it's our market. And every time, something, I told you 5 things have happened. God's helped me 5 times. Sally, 3 kids, and Corona. Corona's the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I made more money than Corona than I made in the 80s. The entire 80s. And I was part of the group, I can happily say, I ripped the fucking guts out of the world's finance. That's how much different. When leverage is going your way, kids, just as when Bitfuck, when you put up $1 and you buy $125, when Bitfuck was going up, everybody said it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Some of you morons in this room actually paid for this fucking thing with Bitfucks, so I have nothing bad to say about that. But I mean, but nothing's forever. Nothing's forever. Now, it'll be interesting if Putin dies, or when Putin dies, if Bitcoin goes to 0. And then they'll say, how did Dan know that? Jesus Christ. He hasn't been in Russia since... How did he know that? Because I'm not a moron like you. Other question. Okay. Who's my 530? Okay. Who's my 6? And then I guess that's it. Okay. Now, does everybody have all their shit that they're supposed to wear? Okay, good. I would highly recommend you wear underwear, guys. But, I mean, traditionally, you don't wear underwear with a kilt. Traditionally. But I would highly recommend. And when we sit after dinner in the drawing room when I'm going to have like a grandfather talk with you guys, my wife normally sits right on my left, and the guys sit. So if my wife moves, it's because you're sitting like this instead of like this, So I'm just telling you, I highly recommend that you wear underwear. The gals are wearing, I guess, party dresses or shit, whatever that you call it. But I now realize after wearing a kilt 40 years why girls sit with their legs kind of together, or however you do it, which I'm not too good at. But it'll be an interesting night tonight. When's whiskey tasting? Is there whiskey tasting? 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, okay. Any other questions? Okay, kids. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I have 3 questions.
3? Fucking stupid Greek every time. I mean, see, I'm used to being around smart Greeks like Gratsos. But anyway, go ahead.
Thomas mentioned that he was going through the deal with the seller like live.
Live, yeah. But I mean, it's like when I used to sell insurance to him and his wife in the kitchen with a yellow pad live. But now, Insurance 101, I mean, you do it on your laptop. Well, he was doing it during Corona when there was 1,000 miles apart. You like that? Okay, well, is your wife part of this? Well, maybe you could invite your wife in, you know, an Asian family's wife or second-class citizen, so it's tough to get a wife in to be part of the decision-making process. I went, when I was in India, and one of the big highfalutin guys, excuse me for interrupting, and we go to his house for dinner, the women didn't sit with the men. The women all were serving us food, standing behind us. And, you know, I had never seen that before. And the guy, you know, the Maharaj or whatever the fuck he was, but there's a lot of things about these older cultures that I agree with 1,000%. I mean, women have second-class citizens, women don't speak unless they're spoken to, women spend most of their lives on their back, etc. I mean, I was born 500-600 years too late. I mean, I could live that. So when we got up for dinner, and so I didn't know where the women were going. The women went back to the kitchen, you know? And Sally was not enamored with this methodology, by the way. But okay, what about it?
Number two, about the industries. My understanding is that tech has very high margins because...
No, it does. No. Tech has high multiples because it's hot. Cybersecurity is hot, not because they have high margins, but because they're utilized. Every time Trump in the past and Biden rattled their saber against North Korea, cybersecurity stocks go up. It's not because they have high margins. They have high price tags that are associated with them because of their popularity.
Okay, that's clear. And the last one, which came up with one of the last points that you said, is that you don't recommend to focusing on going public.
No, I didn't say that. I said going public is not what you think it is. It's not. It has nothing to do because you can't get any money out. Why do you think the Onassis Icon shipping guys have never gone public? Because you can't, I mean, plus you can't steal, you can't cheat. I mean, you have to report to the shareholders.
Okay.
Okay, kids. See you around. We'll see you tonight. Thank you.